Hello and welcome to the Valley Oak Paper YouTube channel. My name is Cecilia and this is the card I'm going to make today. It's a birthday card with a little witch and some bats flying in front of an eclipsed moon. Not only does the witch wobble, she glows in the dark too. With the lunar eclipse happening on October 28th, I thought this was a fitting card motif. This card features several recent Trinity Stamps products. This cute little witch from the Flyby stamp and die set, the cover plate modern embossed window panel number 1, and the Simply Sentimental birthday stamp set. I'm going to start with the background because it will need to dry after I've ink blended on it. I'm using Accent Opaque 100 pounds cover weight white cardstock. First I'm going to die cut it with a modern embossed window panel number 1. That creates this round window and the nice embossed lines around it. To create my eclipsed moon effect, I'm ink blending with Distress Oxide inks in antique linen, aged mahogany and black soot. I'm starting with antique linen around the window. Next I'm switching to aged mahogany. Then I move on to black soot for the outside of the frame. I'd love for you to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. I post card making videos weekly on Sundays. I'm also planning some giveaways. You may want to enable notifications so you don't miss those. I go back and forth with these 3 colors until I'm happy with the result. The more ink you add, the smoother the effect will be. Let's put the background aside to dry while I create the focal point. I'm going to stamp the witch and the bats from the Flyby stamp set using my Tim Holtz stamp platform today. But before I do that, I've die cut the witch from some scrap cardstock. I'm going to use the negative space to help me line up the stamp. This way, when I cut out the stamped image later, the die will line up easily. I had problems with the broom handle the first time, that's why I'm doing this. Now I can stamp the witch and some extra bats for decoration. I'm using black soot Distress Oxide ink for that. I had to stamp them a couple of times to get solid coverage. In the next step I'm going to heat emboss them, so I need to heat set the ink. It's easier to do that before I cut them out. I'm alternating between heating them from the front and the back so the cardstock won't warp too badly. Here I'm testing if the ink is dry enough. The embossing powder slides right off so I can die cut. I want my witch and bats to have a glowing outline in the dark, so I'm using an embossing pen around the edges. Then I pour Ranger Glow Up embossing powder on them and brush off any powder on the black parts. For that I'm using a detailed blending brush. Then I melt the embossing powder. I'm doing this in stages and several times to build up the glow-in-the-dark effect. This is what it looks like when I'm done. I'll show the glow-in-the-dark effect at the end of this video. I'm going to test the background to see if it's dry now. The embossing powder slides right off, so I can stamp my sentiment. I'm using 2 of the stamps from the Simply Sentimental birthday stamp set. The main sentiment is a scripty birthday. Above that I have a wishing you a happy in a typewriter font. I'm placing the stamps in my Tim Holtz stamp platform, and I'm going to heat emboss them with Ranger Superfine Silver embossing powder. But first I'm stamping on a scrap piece of cardstock to make sure that the stamps are straight. I'm happy with the placement, so I go ahead and heat emboss on my ink blended panel. I've cut out a 4x4 inch square of black glitter cardstock. This is going to be my eclipsed moon. I'm gluing it to the back of the background, center around the window. Then I'm adding the action warbler to the little witch. I've colored it with black Sharpie so it doesn't show. It's important that it sits centered under her, otherwise she'll list in one direction or another. Now that the action warbler is adhered to the witch, I'm removing the backing paper from the other side of the warbler. That side is going to be glued to the black glitter paper. To help it hold onto the glitter, I'm adding more glue. Then I can place our little witch onto the eclipsed moon and place a strong magnet on top. The glue has set now and the action wobbler works. I love it. I'm adding some more cardstock to the back of my panel. This is 4 times 5 1/4, so it's just a little bit smaller than the card panel. I'm putting some magnets on it while it dries. Next I prepare my Ohuhu card base and glue the card front onto it. The card bases are already scored, I just need to fold them. The final step is to decorate the lunar eclipse scene. I'm placing my bats first. Then I add lots of matte silver and black pearls. And that finishes the card for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will show you some more still images at the end of the video. You can find links to everything I used in today's card in the description box below, as well as in my blog post on valleyoakpaper.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.